minutes?
Why don't you think about it?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Treasurer Aldrich, will you call the roll, please?
Gail Connor. Sandy Flora.
Here.
Mike Isley. Spencer Kingery. And Cody Nelson.
Here.
Next, the minutes from the August 1st, 2022 meeting are presented. Are there any additions or subtractions?
Motion to approve the minutes. Second.
Without objection, the minutes are approved as read. We will now suspend the regular meeting and open the public hearing on the budget at 6:01 p.m. If you wish to be heard, please stand, state your name and address when called upon. Is there anyone wishing to speak on the budget? Seeing no one wishing to speak, we will close the public hearing on that topic at 6:01 p.m. and open the public hearing on the additional appropriation of the unsafe building fund. That's fund number 2217 with an additional appropriation of $75,000, and code enforcement fund number 2590 for $25,000 as advertised in the Carroll County Comment. Does anyone wish to speak on that topic? There being no one wishing to speak, the public hearing is now closed, and the meeting of the Common Council resumed at 6:02 p.m. And given the number of items on the agenda tonight, we will suspend with the reports and move directly into other business. And tonight we have a real treat in store for you. Shelby Bowen, who is president and owner of Rebar Development LLC, shares information on his company and takes us through a proposed development project for the city of Delphi. Jake Adams and I have been working with Shelby now and others on the team for a number of weeks, and put together both a housing project and a parking structure that will be a stunning addition to Delphi. Jake, would you like to say a few words and introduce Shelby?
Yes. So in 2021, the Economic Development Corporation partnered with the city of Delphi, put together a strategic plan with the community, and the top priority for that listing was residential housing. So as we began to look through what the future of residential development looks like in Carroll County, we began to look at development projects, developers, like a partnership with Shelby and Rebar moving forward, I think is a great fit for our community. So without further ado, I'll introduce Shelby Donovan.
Thank you. Thanks, Jake. You were supposed to stand up here. Great, thank you. Mayor, President, members of the council, thank you, Jake, Mayor, for your hospitality. It's been a lot of fun spending time here, getting to know you all. And, yes, of course, getting to know you all, learning more about Carroll County and Delphi. I'm from Marion, Indiana, so born and raised there, pretty familiar with Delphi to begin with, but not in the sense professionally. When I started thinking about Delphi as a place for us to seek out a partnership. So Rebar Development, I own with my wife. We're a niche development firm. What that means is we're nimble. We can go into communities such as Delphi, and 100% of the projects that we have been a partner in have been public-private partnerships. So that means going back to 2005, every single project that I have done has had a partner either with the city, town, state, county, in some version. And that means together we have co-invested to deliver projects, much like the one we're going to talk about here tonight. I think a great example is Yorktown. We just finished one there, similar sized community, and it's really an awesome partnership, and I've always encouraged the mayor and Jake and council to, of course, go see our work. But the number one thing that we'll talk about tonight is partnership. Because this project can't happen without the support of council, the mayor, and of course we want to seek all stakeholder support, but it's really critical that this is the first step towards that partnership. Okay, the fun presentation. We've kind of called this project the Charles, but I want to be clear here. Like, this is really an introduction to see if we can get support and partnership. I think that the mayor and Jake have done a fantastic job of kind of fleshing out the intent and our company and their goals to seek development in downtown, to create places that people want to live, to keep people here, bring people here. And so that was really the last few months of just been trying to take serious steps towards that, and then being able to have the opportunity to introduce that tonight. There, I think if you click the arrow, if you'll go back one, I think if we click on the arrows in here at the bottom, the back arrow. All right, now we'll go forward. Here. Thank you. And the reason this is important to start with is because not just Rebar, it's really a team effort. And what I want to assure you is that what's great about our firm and development projects is we have best-in-class partners. Axis Architecture, HWC Engineering, Kettle Hut. These are folks who are doing incredible projects all over the state. And so this team is best in class, and with partnership with the city and county, and we're going to seek partnership with the state of Indiana. This is a team who has delivered a lot of these projects together, and their work is impressive, and I am very excited and grateful for their partnership. I keep talking about partnership. The first thing that I think is important is our experience. I think if you go to our website and learn more about us, and I've encouraged the mayor and Jake from the very beginning to do that. And our experience with exactly these types of projects really is unparalleled. We've done several in central Indiana that are this size or bigger or smaller. And really, because our goal is we want to fit what's best for the communities where we are partners. So in Yorktown, it was 26 apartments and 8,000 square feet of commercial. In Lafayette, it was 97 apartments. And so we really just want to be a part of the growth in each community individually. Transparency and trust, it's critical. Everything we do is open book. I don't stand up here and try to spin a story. Everything we do, we share all of our assumptions. We share everything about our company. I encourage our partners to pick up the phone and ask questions of other communities, because without our trust in each other and that transparency, this is just not going to be a good experience, even if we get to the starting line. action. So what I have encouraged our team and Jake and the mayor and hopefully council, if we get your support, is at some point, we do have to take an affirmative step forward. One of the things that's important about that is the state will be watching as a participant and potential partner in this. They really like to see that both private investment and local investment has been committed. And so our goal will be to gain your support in an effort to bolster our position to seek maybe potential partnership from the state. But that requires action. That requires steps forward here publicly and reviewing agreements and taking action like acquiring land and commitments to one another to move these projects forward. Accountability, I'm the guy they call when everything's don't go as planned, and I pick up the phone and I show up. I've been in every meeting on all of our projects, certainly in the last 5 years. I am accountable. I'll be the one that the mayor calls or Jake calls or local stakeholders, public safety. That's me. I'm here from the beginning all the way through the end. And I take that partnership seriously. And that doesn't, what I think is important for council members when they're thinking about reaching an agreement with us, is the partnership doesn't end when we get an agreement or we get approval. We're partners like this thing. We're here, we're a part of downtown, and we take that partnership seriously. Thank you, Mayor. These are just a handful of projects, and if you click forward again, I think it'll go to each one. This is in downtown Noblesville. What I think is really important about this project, and remember, each community is different. This project is 85 parking spaces and a 300 space parking garage. So that's what Noblesville wanted. But the first thing that happened is no one had built anything in downtown Noblesville in 100 years. I was the guy that decided, as a Noblesville resident, I love their downtown. And so what we did when we started this project is we met with the Noblesville Preservation Alliance, and they walked with our architect around downtown and said, here are some elements that we like about the architecture here. We would love for you to incorporate some of that into your building. And that's what we did here with some of the arches, diamonds, brick detail, cornices, storefront, awnings, gooseneck lamps, a lot of things you see in this building. And there's also some things inside the building that we did. We reused a lot of materials that were old, and so this project was a success, at least up before we finished it, and has been a big part of Noblesville's kind of growth in downtown. Thanks, Mayor. This is Yorktown. We just finished this project in June, and it is 100% leased. The first floor is commercial, with the exception of down here is an amenity space and a couple of apartments. The upper floors are apartments. Yorktown built a civic plaza right here in front, so all of these balconies overlook the civic plaza, where they have concerts and farmers markets and a variety of programming. So this is a really cool place to live. Again, a lot of attention to detail in how we designed this project. This project is in Plainfield. What we would propose here is some sort of outdoor courtyard for our residents, which is likely going to be similar to what we have here in Plainfield. These are garage doors that open, and it's indoor-outdoor amenity space. 116 people live here in Plainfield, and it's got fire pit, grills, and just really cool outdoor plaza. This is an apartment in Plainfield, but all of our finishes are like this. One of the things that the mayor was clear about from the very beginning is the standard of not just architecture, but what type of interior finishes, what type of residence do we expect. And I assured her that we don't change. We deliver the same project, same finishes, whether it's in New York City or other communities. And this is the level of finishes you would expect to see in our apartments. Quartz counters, stainless steel appliances, full-size washer and dryers, backsplash in the kitchens, tile surrounds in the bathrooms, showers. It's just a really fantastic, beautiful apartment. And all of our projects, including the closest one is Lafayette, that we just finished, really beautiful. Okay, question is a lot of times like, why downtown development? Based on my experience going back, I like to say I've been doing downtown mixed-use development before it was cool, like in '05. And what I have seen is every community that I've been a part of has resonated with people. They want to live in and around their downtown. But why is that important? These are just a few things that I have seen is, meets employer demand. I have seen employers when they are looking to relocate or keep their company or expand, they are thinking about their employees. Are there places for their employees to live? Multi-generational, our buildings are all ages and demographics of folks through the spectrum, from young professional to empty nesters, single parents, and all of the above. Middle and upper income. This is one step towards increasing population. I am convinced through my experience that these things are necessary to start to build not just population, tax base, and it's like the next iteration of growth in these types of communities. I won't go through all of them. There's a lot of good ones here, and I think this is probably public for you all to look at or ask questions. Okay, the concept plan. And I think Mayor can hit the, here we go. The Charles, named after Charles Carroll, who I think is pretty self-explanatory. This site, so I've spent a lot of time in Delphi over the last, 3, 4, 5 months, and looked at everything in and around downtown from end to end. And our firm, so what's important is our firm specializes in downtown development, because I believe very strongly that people want to live in or near their downtown. I know there are other places that are fantastic opportunities to develop. I've seen them all in Delphi. It's just not what we do well. Because I think at the end of the day, if we can build a compelling place for people to live that's near downtown and do it in the right way, I just believe that very strongly in that as a business model. So that's why we are looking downtown. If the mayor said, or Jake, no, go look over here, it wouldn't be us. We would not be as interested in Delphi. Mostly because I love downtown here. I love when I visit, and I think, gosh, if I were going to live in Carroll County, it'd be awesome to live here. And through the grace of Mr. Bradshaw, he's allowed us to discuss this opportunity. There's been no commitments other than he wants to see what's best for Delphi. So we don't own this because clearly I want it to be deferent to the council. Really nothing moves forward without your support. So I didn't want to be inauthentic about making offers on land and you all are not supportive. But I can tell you, if you think about living here and being close to downtown and close to the park, it's just, in my opinion, an awesome spot. And so Mr. Bradshaw has agreed to let us contemplate the development here. And that's what we've done. So I really like this site for a lot of reasons. And one of the things I like about it is it's not easy to develop in a downtown that's been here 150 years. Not sure how. And so it's very tough to go, gosh, could we tear that building down? Or, that's not something we seek out to do, is go, God, I just want to be right on the square. And so I was glad that we could find a spot that I thought was the least disruptive to all of the things that are already great about the square and everything around it. And the proximity to everything here, in my opinion, was awesome. And then as we explored it further, we could develop this site from what we know today, which is where's the floodplain, where are the utilities. And so that's what we've done. Love this site and hope that we have an opportunity to move this forward. So one of the things I always start with when we sit down is it is impossible for me to have our architects design a building that everybody loves, and that's the first view and everyone stands up and applauds. It just doesn't happen. We know unequivocally that we have to design something that fits within what's already here in Delphi. Honestly, I don't mean to sound presumptive, but I know we can get the architecture right. I just know we can, and I would encourage you as we start to think about, is this project happen, is to visit our buildings. Each one is unique, it's got great detail, it's reflective of the community, and so I don't want to be dismissive about, don't worry about the architecture. It's quite the opposite. I know we can get it right and we will get it right. And so this is just a first step to show you what can be, and we kind of go from there. What I appreciate about our architects is I would rather have them start relatively subdued, give us a canvas to build on, show the scale, and then we can start adding the things that I think will be unique to our project here. This perspective, I think, is looking from Union southeast, and then the other one is kind of looking the other way. Clearly, we've taken some liberties with the street and everything. So this is just conceptual, it really is. We don't own the land, we don't even have it under contract. I have talked to the Swoboda family, and they have been very similar to Mr. Bradshaw in saying we will consider an offer to sell, but that's it. And I didn't want to set any unrealistic expectations till I had a chance to introduce it and make sure I could be sincere in that. It's right now roughly 60 apartments, all market rate, all high quality, high finishes, middle and upper income, period. It's all we do. We don't change it to meet the demographics in an area. That's why we seek partnership and incentive. I'm always transparent about it. I don't want to build a building I'm not proud of, that's not high quality, and the only way we can do that in Delphi is with the support of the city, county, and state. It really is truthfully the way these things go. But we won't compromise that. Again, we've got a lot of experience to show. Okay, so how, this is kind of getting into the high level deal structuring. And again, our firm has done probably as many or more than anybody else in terms of these partnerships. There are resources available. The first one is, this is always kind of a misconception that the developer comes in here, partners, and gets a bunch of money and rides away in the dark of night. I can tell you that I am at risk on this development. We have no tenants, and I personally guarantee the loan, and we put equity in the project, and I have no assurances that this will lease up. I am at risk. The city and county and state do not take that risk away. They allow this investment to make sense for us by providing incentive necessary. I still have to go to the bank, and I still have to justify the investment. And there's no black magic with that. It's all open book, and the bank will appraise what this project is worth when we finish. The easiest way that I have been able to explain it is a building of the quality that we seek to deliver is going to cost a lot, especially now. Alex is here on the construction side. He can tell you these are expensive buildings, and it costs the same to build in Delphi as it does in Carmel or anywhere else in the state. But we know that the rent market here is much lower than some other areas of the state. And so we need the state and the county and the city to help bridge the gap between the cost and what the building is worth. Because we can't go, this building is so beautiful, we can charge more rent than, twice as much rent as Delphi could support. It's just not possible. But the number one thing I want to remind council is, and quick to remind, is we are personally guaranteeing the loan and putting our own money in these projects. Okay, and then there are other resources the mayor is familiar with, and the council, I'm sure, is familiar with, but it will take all of these resources. And then the state, so we've partnered with the state 2 years in a row. The state has awarded our projects a redevelopment tax credit or ready funds. We've received both of those from the state. They're familiar with us as partners. We have fulfilled our obligations to the state and made those investments, and are proud of our relationship with the state of Indiana, and we will seek out their support here as well. And there are other things we may ask the city to do. We've talked about, could we add street parking? Maybe utilities need relocated. It really is, what can we do as a team to try to deliver this project? And in some cases, We have a cool project in Speedway where the town built a plaza pocket park next to our project. Very cool, and we're grateful for that. And maybe I could finish on a high note after I talk about how difficult this is to achieve. Very challenging. These projects take a long time even to get to the starting line because they require so much. They can be complex. They are expensive. Every project, every community scratches their head and goes, why would we invest that amount of money or that incentive? Or why would we give this developer this amount of money? But it's necessary to have the type of quality project that I think you all expect. I know the mayor's been clear. Something I want to be proud of. It just requires that. I believe it's worth it. All of our projects are 100% leased. Actually, all of them pre-leased across the board in central Indiana. And so I think that is the best indication that there's a desire for people to live in these types of projects. And so I can say unequivocally, if the mayor or the council were to call other council members or mayors or town managers and say, gosh, should you have made that partnership investment, I am certain, I'm unequivocally certain they would all say yes, that was a great partnership for our community. And it was tough on us, because it's a lot of work, a lot of risk, but we believe in Delphi. I want to be a part of this. And so next steps, this is just my opinion there, I'm just saying what I believe is like, this is the introduction. The mayor's I'm gonna answer questions for the council. I don't think we're asking for any affirmative action tonight, are we, Mayor? Because it was important for the mayor and Jake to get it out for feedback. This is kind of the first step after kind of the internal vetting, is this possible? And so my request is, I would love questions, or if you are gonna pound the table and say, we don't want this here, I'd like to hear that too, and talk through that. Most importantly though, I'm available for questions. Thanks for bearing with me on that very long-winded explanation.
Let me first say too, Shelby, that we will have a public open house where you have more of an opportunity to look at the boards, talk with the people who are involved in the project, and spend some more time with, obviously this is part of a meeting where we have a number of other agenda items, but we will entertain some questions. And I think this is, from the city's perspective, speaking for, at least for the mayor's office, and council will obviously have an opportunity to weigh in on this as we move through the project. I see this as a very exciting opportunity for Delphi. We know from all of the studies that people now choose where they want to live based on quality of place. And Delphi has more amenities than any other community this size, with the number of miles of trails. This would be within a block of the library, within a block of the restaurants to downtown. With all of the entertainment venues and access to the trail system, it would draw young professionals and retired people who may want to downsize. It will, I think, be a great opportunity for our city, but that has to be vetted, and we have many steps before we can move forward.
Yeah, Mayor, one thing I was going to point out as to the redevelopment tax credit and the ready application, sometimes I get this question, because subsidy sometimes is connotated with federal housing, et cetera, et cetera. These are all market rate apartments. That incentive from the state is just an ability, because they believe they want to support a growing workforce. We received a state incentive on our project in Lafayette, and their market rate apartments, and they're $1,400 a month for one bedrooms, but the state wanted to support the effort to continue to grow the workforce. So it's not, the redevelopment tax credit is not a subsidy or federal housing tax credit or low-income housing tax credit. It's really just the name of the subsidy that the state uses. These are all market rate. The buildings are secure. We have cameras and, just the highest level of finishes, and so, we're really proud of that product. Yes?
Where's that project in Lafayette?
It's on Fifth and South Street, so I always gauge it if you're coming across the river on South Street from Purdue. It's up the hill about 3 blocks, can't miss it. It's, 5 stories. First floor is parking under a podium, and 4 floors are apartments. Which there it fits in because you've got a lot of other 6, 7, 8-story buildings there.
And that is the Ellsworth.
The Ellsworth, that's right.
And we will be arranging for tours, over the next several weeks, so if council, would like to tour some of the facilities and other communities, we're getting that information together.
Yeah, so we'll coordinate, the goal will be to coordinate tours for any stakeholders that are interested in going look at some of the other products. We will be having an open house on September 20th here at 6 p.m. We've invited the developer, construction company, design, art, everyone, so that the public can come, the community leaders can come and have those direct conversations to talk about the project. So we're doing tours, open house. We want, like I think Shelby said it best, to be as transparent as possible with the project, so we can get a great product for our downtown and our community.
Yeah, and one of the things that's interesting is I wish I could bring renderings of like our first iteration and where we ended up. And I think you all would be a little more comfortable that we'll get there. I think it's a great building, beautiful, but I also see areas where we can improve. But one of the things that's kind of chicken and egg about that is, do we start designing a project that may or may not, get your support? So this is kind of like laying the whole plan out, and if we do get the necessary support to start, another step or multiple steps forward, we'll get serious about design. Everybody, please. Yes, sir.
First of all, great presentation. This is probably the most exciting thing that I've seen in this room. It's really exciting to have that kind of investment in Delphi. The parking garage got my attention, and you may have said this, but how many spaces would the parking structure be?
I did not say that. I was talking about when we did in Noblesville, but I'm not sure. So the parking garage is another part of this, may or may not. I think these, although together, may or may not go together, but it could be anywhere from 150 spaces to up to 250. I think it depends on how many levels.
So enough to house the residents and then some?
It could, but we could also surface park, so we can adjust it whether the garage goes or not. But it'd be great, it's a wonderful amenity for residents to have garage parking adjacent to where they live, but not necessary for us. But the co-developer, GM Development, does these all over the state. He's a fantastic guy, another good guy for this type of community project. And I would love to partner and hope that happens as well. Yes, sir.
So this is just apartment rental, and it wouldn't be like buying in condominium?
Correct, all for rent product right now. We would own it, manage it, professionally manage and maintain. Again, it's my investment, so, it matters how well we take care of it.
Thank you. Nate, could you, state your name and address, and then, please, you as well.
Daryl Packard, 307 West 7th Street.
Thank you.
Nathan Lamar, 1389 North 800 West, Delphi.
Anything else, Mayor?
Other questions?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any good, bad. Now it's time. Yes, sir?
What is the relative relationship between the public and private cost of this project?
What we are seeing right now is it's anywhere from 30 to 45% public investment. And that's just, like I said, that's what it costs for us to keep the rents on the high end of what's in and around Carroll County, but deliver a great project.
Does that include infrastructure?
That's all in, yeah, I mean, we would deliver everything, all infrastructure, that's total project cost. And that can sometimes take a day or two to sink in, when you start looking at the numbers. It's not an investment that just comes easily. And that's why you have to kind of build trust, transparency, talk to other communities, and also talk to your financial advisors. I know the man and Jake have already done a lot of that work, and just understanding what they could commit feasibly. It's not insignificant. Yes?
Again, can you state your, name, my name is Ariel, I'm a WLFI, I'm not a resident of Delphi. Have you guys done any research or looked into any statistics that would prove that an apartment complex like this would be something that's successful in downtown Delphi?
Cannot hear you.
Have you done any research or looked at any statistics that would prove that an apartment complex like this would be successful in downtown Delphi and reach a group of people that really would reach?
Yeah, so this is always an interesting question. So there's a couple things, like if we had done a study in Yorktown, for instance, it would not have shown what we saw happen. Because it's interesting that a demand study has a hard time identifying demand for something that's not there or doesn't exist, and I'm not trying to be coy about it. What I do know is there are a lot of people who work in Carroll County and don't live in Carroll County, thousands of people. And then there are a lot of people who love to move back to Carroll County and Delphi, but there's really not the type of product that they're interested in. And right now, as the mayor touched on, we are seeing it in other communities. I thought Plainfield was a great example. That filled up very, very quickly of people who were working in Plainfield but not living there because it didn't have a product like this. And so, unequivocally, I know that there's a segment of the population of young professionals or young couples, married couples or engaged couples that aren't yet ready to buy a home. These are a fantastic opportunity for them to stay in Delphi. The mayor touched on seniors, single parents who want to be near their children. We see a lot of those residents, just really all over the map. And the other thing that's important is we're not talking about 200 apartments. We're talking about 50 or 60, and I think certainly that's achievable. Do you have a question, Michelle? Did I miss you?
You're not.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I think this is a great start, and we'll send out towards information about the public open house on September 20th, 6 p.m. here. And we are still, of course, looking at data on this, so there is nothing to share at this point in time, but we will, of course, provide the council to review cost data and what it would take to get this project going.
Sure.
And really appreciate your time and tonight, and giving an excellent presentation, and looking forward to the open house.
Yeah, if anybody has questions, I'm pretty easy to find, or you get my information from Jake or the mayor. Thanks for your time. Thank you all.
Shelby, did you say that you had some printed copies that you might?
Oh, yeah, thanks.
You might leave with council?
This is a printout of the presentation.
Thank you so much. Ready to proceed then? So the first order of new business for council is a report to appoint a replacement. Gail Connor has stepped down from the Delphi Redevelopment Commission, and she achieved council appointee, it was council appointee, so appointments are for 1 year, so this would be really filling out the term through the end of December of this year, and then appointments would begin again in January.
Yes, Joe Mayfield, I'm the current president of the Delphi Redevelopment Commission, and we have been working this year through the legislative steps necessary to expand our commercial TIF to the northeast around the Andersons. And we completed several steps, but one of the most critical was approval from the county commissioners to include county parcels of land into the city's commercial TIF. And that was voted on and approved 3-0 today. So we now have their resolution allowing us to place county parcels into the city's commercial TIF. And then our next, we have 3 more legislative steps to complete that expansion. One is to appear before the APC on September 27th. Then we appear before the Common Council in probably the first October meeting. And then we reconvene the redevelopment commission and approve, in a sense, all that we've completed. And then that will expand Delphi's commercial TIF out to the area around the Andersons, because we have development there of substantial nature. Thank you.
So next, Mark Hammonds, I believe, is in the back there. Mark Hammonds has received favorable recommendation to rezone the property at 921 South Washington Street from B2 to U1, and with plans for a duplex on that.
Yes.
Mark,
Would you just let me walk through kind of what we're envisioning
if you would, that
with
would
the property?
be great.
Sure. Well, first off, council members, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to participate tonight. As the mayor said, I'm Mark Hammonds from Logansport, but I'm not new to the Delphi area. My wife and I owned and operated McDonald's restaurants for 22 years, one of which was the McDonald's here in Delphi. We operated for 14 years. So we've been part of the business community before, and the reason that we're here and doing development work, when we sold our restaurants in 2021, we were eligible to participate in opportunities in investing. So when we sold our restaurants, it inherently has a large capital gain and a lot of taxes that are associated with that. And so when Trump was in office, he, as part of the Tax Act that they passed legislation on, they created opportunities on investing. And so it gives some benefits for someone in a position like mine, where I sold a business, inherited a large capital gain, and it has a lot of benefits. And so what we're doing, rather than just write the big check to Uncle Sam, is we're taking advantage of this. And it involves building housing in areas that have been defined by the state, that where housing is needed, housing that fits, the current economic climate, et cetera. So we've started. We bought, for tonight's discussion, 2 properties. One at 921 South Washington, which you all will know as the Reinhardt Realty Building, brown house there. And on that property, our goal is to, we actually appeared before the Board of Zoning, asking for a zoning change from commercial to U2, I believe, which will allow us to convert that building back to a residence. And on a longer term basis, our idea is the size of that lot, we'd like